What if you're someone who has trouble following through? Well, let me tell you, you're not alone. Many creatives do. Let's do something about that. Let's jump in. As a child, I realized I had a gift. I see people without their doubts or fears as the fully expanded future versions of themselves. Our future selves whisper messages. I hear them, and you can too. Welcome to the Creative Whisperer.
How do I learn how to follow through and not deny myself what I actually want?
What do you mean by following through?
Following through? Okay, so for example, I was going to do a play and a filmed play with a friend last December, and we all just let it run into the sand, and we had a couple of readings. And the way I work psychologically, so many times, is that I'm ready all the way up until the fight, and then when the fight is about to happen, I realize one of my shoelaces is a little off, and then I probably need to go and probably not do the fight at all. So I can prepare for months, and then when it really matters, I'll bail on myself. So
I want to offer this as just a different thought. What if all of these little preparations for the fight are you're preparing to prepare for the fight? So you are practicing the art of preparing. What if, right?
Yeah.
What if no mistakes have happened? What if your choice, your inclination not to follow through was because you didn't need to? What if you had already gotten what you needed from the experience because you are preparing, you're learning how to prepare? What if it's time to move on? Like how many times do we stay longer than maybe we needed to, just out of habit? So what if we just zoomed out for a second? And we zoomed all the way out. And again, what if there are no mistakes? What if we looked at this like a big old improvisation scene where whatever happens, you say yes? Like, it's exactly the way it's supposed to be. That's a scene partner, that's exactly what I was hoping you would say. Genius. In our improvisation scenes, one of our goals is to make our scene partner look like a genius. Yes! To keep our focus on our partner. It keeps us out of our head, number one, but also it keeps us engaged, emotionally engaged. And so what if we showed ourselves that same sort of kindness and attention? What if every choice you made was not a mistake, was not a shrinking back? What if it was a brave stroke of genius? What if a brave stroke of genius? What if? It's a fine line between misbehavior and entertainment. There's a fine line between kookiness and genius. Like, where does that flip and who decides? And so what if you decided that really there were no mistakes? At any point in my life, I made the choice that I was best capable of making in that moment. And it was exactly the right choice for that moment. What if? Are you able to entertain that thought? Or it feels like, not so much, it's hard. How do you see this thing with acting sort of play out in your life that you're talking about? This idea of not following through?
That I like to initiate projects and not follow through, and that I feel is sort of like a kind of adrenaline, it's about to happen now.
And it feels good.
Now it's about to become reality.
Right.
Wow. I don't know if I can live in that happiness or that thing that I really was aching for 2 seconds ago.
And do you like ice cream?
Yeah.
You really like ice cream or just so-so?
I like it.
Okay. What's your favorite flavor?
Hazelnut.
Hazelnut. All right. So hazelnut. What's your least favorite?
Chocolate rum or something.
Great. Is there something flawed in you or wrong with you that you like hazelnut but you prefer hazelnut to chocolate rum? Is there something flawed in you because of that?
No, it's not a flaw.
Preference is not a flaw, right? How would you ever make any choice if you didn't have a preference? You could eeny, meeny, miny, mo your way through life, but where's the satisfaction in that? From preference, isn't that what stirs satisfaction? Like, oh, I prefer this.
Yes.
Right? Are there certain types of women that you prefer to other types of women?
Well, I guess, yeah.
In general.
I think so.
In general.
Yeah.
Or spirits. Maybe it's the spirit of the person that you prefer, one type of person to another type of person. Isn't it connecting with that type of person that you prefer, and it can change, right? Sometimes it can change. Isn't that where satisfaction comes from? Like,
yes.
Preference.
Right. Yes.
That's satisfying, isn't it? When you have the thing that you prefer.
You're totally right. Okay, I'm beginning to connect something here. And I think I have a strong preference, and I think it's painful that I'm not going for it. And I think that also, when I give up, I lean this responsibility on other people, and then I blame them for me not being able to get there. So, instead of holding space or making way for these preferences, for these personal desires.
Most of our life is spent in the journey, not the ultimate destination. If we broke our life into different goals, it's not about the goal as much as it is what we do, who we become as we work toward any goal. That moment of grabbing that Oscar and giving your acceptance speech, from the second that you have your Oscar, let's say that was, I'm not saying it was for you, but for some people, I want to win an Oscar. Well, you win the Oscar and you stand up there and you give your speech, and in that moment, a new desire is born. And so you attain the thing for a moment, but you can work toward it, you can grow toward it, is maybe a better feeling way to say work toward it, for a lifetime, right? And so we spend most of our time in the attaining or the working toward or the growing into a desire. And so let's talk about preference for process. Instead of preference for outcome, let's move and shift our focus onto preference for process. Just like ice cream flavors, you have a preference for process. In other words, how it is that you prefer to create, to interact, to work towards something. There's a preference there. What I heard you say is you like the birth of a new idea. You like the anticipation of the thing.
Yes.
And I want to say that there's nothing flawed about you. In fact, there couldn't be anything more. That's a true sign that you are working properly. Right? Scientifically proven that hormones spike and brain levels spike, not during the orgasm itself, but it's the buildup that we love. Yes. It's the buildup toward the thing that's exciting. The thing itself, right? It's once you get to the thing itself, then it's a dropping off feeling. It's the same with the planning of any vacation. Again, scientifically proven and measured that you can increase and activate the pleasure centers in the planning of a vacation, even if you don't go on the vacation, just as much as planning a vacation and then going on the vacation. Sometimes going on a vacation is a disappointment, but it's the planning that's so enticing and exciting.
Yes, right.
You should have heard me picking out my Airbnbs for Italy. My kids didn't know what I was doing. I did it for months. Oh my God! Because I just daydreamed about staying in this house I never stayed in 99% of those houses, but I daydreamed about it. And I enjoy, right now my daydream, I'm sketching, I want a building, like a 2-family home, and I want to renovate the whole thing inside. Oh, wow. And that's my daydream. And so I'm sketching the floor plans for each floor.
Oh my God.
And I move them around, and I'll spend hours doing that.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun. I'm sure much more fun than the reality of construction workers and everything else. So you've been there. You're an architect. And so, yes, you're working exactly like you're supposed to. The fantasizing, the daydreaming feels great. Sometimes, just like with a vacation, that's all we need is the daydreaming and fantasizing, right? And we get what we needed from that experience, as even more so than if we had the actual experience. And so the fact that you planned these readings or these plays with your friends felt good. Did it feel good when you were?
Oh, yeah.
Felt great. Wonderful.
Felt like my life changed.
Wonderful. My life is shifting. Goal achieved because your life did shift, your perspective shift, you broadened. The fact that there was no play in the end doesn't really matter because the goal wasn't the play. The goal was who you become who you become as you work toward any goal. And you just said your mind shifted, you broadened. What were the words you used?
My life changed.
Your life changed. You don't lose that.
Because I felt I was in my element, or like
Perfect.
Together with acting, together with theater.
And sometimes what we do, so you've got your future self, your expanded self, who sits knowing that everything you've ever wanted is accomplished. And then we've got physical you who's sitting here, who's got some limitations, self-created, just like we all do. And sometimes what your expanded self has to do is to plot a course for you to what you want in spite of your limitations. It doesn't say, oh, you got these limitations, you'll never get there. It's just like a GPS, right? A GPS says, where are you? Great. Where do you want to go? Great. It doesn't care about the traffic. It doesn't care about the road construction. Even with all that interference and all those surprises, it will plot a course for you around all of that if it needs to. And guess what happens when you turn left and the GPS told you to turn right? What does it do? Recalculating. Recalculating.
Yeah.
So you can't mess it up. For more information about our online and in-person workshops, or if you'd like to have me come to speak to your group, contact me at the link below. See you soon.